Y'all better settle down.
Hey, we're number 3. We got this.
Wow, I never heard anybody cheer for bronze. We're number 3.
That is not where you thought we would end up when the season started.
It's true. I didn't think we would have Luca either.
You thought we'd be in the play-in.
That's what I was thinking. What up, everybody?
Hey, so I'm calling your show, cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door. Okay, hold on a second, teacher. Just let me ask Ronald
What up?
exactly what's going on because it takes two to tango, and I need to hit his side of the story. So she's driving me insane, the stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, and I'm about to bring the pain. We sleep with fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice
What up?
so we can see the
Hit that like button. Let's go. What's cracking? Lalu.
If you truly love me, you'd accept me for who I am. That's a problematic and unrealistic statement, because here's the thing. The more you love someone, the more you want to change them. We've been fed some sort of romantic story that true love means accepting your partner in every single way. Could you imagine being in a relationship where you couldn't ask for change? Where you couldn't reflect something back to your partner and be like, this is annoying, or that hurt me. Can you stop? We are imperfect beings that are always evolving. Our romantic partners get a close-up view of who we really are and should be given the chance to point out ways that we can make positive changes. Maybe it's best if we enter relationships understanding that you now have the opportunity to improve and help someone else improve, and to brace for a bunch of uncomfortable truths. Maybe true love is making your partner more lovable and to become the best version of themselves. Loving someone unconditionally should be left to your parents, but even then, while your parents might love every single part of you when you're a cute little baby, they're expecting you
Andy,
to grow
wait,
and change as you
wait,
become
Andy,
older.
can we play that one more time? Because how are you going to criticize what some people say as unrealistic and then follow it up with something equally unreal? What? Play it one more time, Andy.
If you truly love me, you'd accept me for who I am. That's a problematic and unrealistic statement, because here's the thing. The more you love someone, the more you want to change them. We've been fed some sort of romantic story that true love means accepting your partner in every single way. Could you imagine being in a relationship where you couldn't ask for change? Where you couldn't reflect something back to your partner and be like, this is annoying, or that hurt me. Can you stop? We are imperfect beings that are always evolving. Our romantic partners get a close-up view of who we really are and should be given the chance to point out ways that we can make positive changes.
Get him out of get him out of here. I'm flabbergasted. Listen. We're gonna have to normalize this, okay? It's not your partner's job to point out things that could make you better. No, it's just not. I'm sorry. They're not your project manager. You are your own project. Okay? Your partner is not your project manager. What we're trying to normalize is this. Your partner is your companion on a journey that you're responsible to make. Right? A good partner might be like a caddy, right? Like a golf caddy. You know, you might want to try this 5-iron or whatever, 9-iron. It's still up to you to go, nah, I'm going to do this with the 5-iron, with the 4-iron. It's your journey. And this is the type of codependent crutch that many of us have been conditioned to believe a good partner is to provide. Point out what's wrong with me. No. While you're not looking at yourself, while you're not embracing your shadow, while you spend an inordinate amount of time, energy, effort, money, whatever, to suppress what you should be empathetically embracing, quite strange, right? Love is not here to say, well, if you love me, you would point this out, or you would help me change, or you would help me grow. That's not how love works. This is how you know many people are not in love or have never been in love. When you get to the highest level of love, the whole expectation thing is done. And the reason why that sounds absolutely asinine to everyone listening is because most of us haven't reached that level of consciousness. I've said on many occasions, love is synonymous with God. If we read all of the ancient scriptures, I'm not just talking about the Bible, but ancient Bibles, right? Ancient Qurans, ancient Rig Vedas, ancient Upanishads, ancient Dharmapada, right? You start reading the ancient, whenever it comes to love, it's, oh, that's God, right? How you walking around in cognitive dissonance saying you got a personal relationship with God, but you got a conflictual relationship with yourself, with your mama, with your significant other, but you got a personal relationship with, hey, we got to knock it off. And happily ever after lives in a person. Oh my God. Tonight's topic. I'm already triggered. That's my first time hearing the video. Okay? I'm hearing the clip when you hear the clip. And it's designed that way because people know I'm going to get triggered. Don't let Zoe hear the videos before the show. Tonight's topic. The relationship project manager. Are you being toxically reassured? A deeper look at how toxic family structures distort your need for validation. Are they interested in you, or are you just being manipulated? Here are some subtopics. Are relationship project managers actually emotional avoidance? From a psychological perspective, the need for control often indicates deep-seated fears of intimacy and vulnerability, as articulated by attachment theory. Of course, you know who that is: John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, and a myriad of others. Right? Philosophers like Kierkegaard, Soren Kierkegaard, have noted that avoidance is a defense mechanism stemming from anxiety. Where does the anxiety live? In the fearful avoidant or the dismissive avoidant? It lives internally. There's shame, there's guilt, but there's also, I'm defected. Something's wrong with me. Empirically, studies show that avoidant attachment styles correlate with higher incidences of relationship dissatisfaction, struggling or suggesting that RPMs, relationship project managers, may prioritize management over authentic connection. If you just do what I need you to do, if you just show up the way I need you to show up, if you just stay true to your word, don't be a human being who could forget their word, or the word needs to be recontextualized, or they don't agree with the word that they originally said they stood on in the beginning. You can't be human. If you say something, it's got to be what you said. That's black and white thinking. And that's seen as what? Some type of mental disorder? Rigid, inflexible thinking while trying to relate to a work in progress? Well, let me just shift into RPM, Relationship Project Manager. Isn't that interesting? Does toxic reassurance create codependency as a survival mechanism? Toxic reassurance can bind individuals in unhealthy dependencies, functioning as a psychological lifeline for those with low self-esteem rooted in childhood trauma, as identified by Patrick Carnes' theory on trauma bonding. From a philosophical standpoint, this often reflects a Socratic paradox of knowing versus doing, where individuals know their worth, yet remain trapped by relational or toxic relational dynamics. Empirical evidence suggests that codependent relationships can exacerbate mental health issues, further entrenching patterns of disempowerment. See, when you're unhealed, you need control. If you don't have it, you're not happy. Do you understand? What's that Missy song about the lady part? Don't fail me now. What's that record? Y'all know I can't say it, but she sings it. Just think of the lady part, a colloquialism we say about a lady's part, and she's saying, "Don't fail me now." Yeah. Because she gonna use that to control. Yes, you could say, "Cat, don't fail me now." Now, exactly. Now, there is some clinical backing to that as well, especially in attachment theory. Anxious preoccupieds try to put that meow on you because they don't want you to leave. It's a real thing here. Is love management the antithesis of authentic connection? Psychologically speaking, the management of love leads to fear-driven behaviors that stifle emotional vulnerability. Philosophers such as Rumi have emphasized the necessity of surrender in love, contrasting sharply with concepts of control. Now, earlier this week, we talked about it. The logical lover, the strategic lover, the strategically empathetic. Why? Because they're wounded, they're broken, so they're trying to manipulate as they manifest. Come on. Huh? Manipulative manifestations? I'm going to do certain things to manifest certain results. I get the results, love wins. Do you see? Do you see? I know people don't want to hear it put this way, but you can't manage that which is unconditional in nature. Love is unconditional in nature. It's really that simple. Research into emotional intelligence shows that the presence of genuine emotional engagement fosters deeper connections, suggesting that any management strategy hinders relational growth. Manage the house. Manage the business. Manage the daily activity of the children. Manage the business. But you can't manage love. You can't manage the heart. Love, relationship, heart, all that stuff is spirit. That's all spirit work. And the way you have a system and a plan and an organization set up for your business doesn't apply to love. You can't get to love until you understand why you lack self-love. Because where there is a controller, there will be a lack of self-love. That's why I got to control. There's fear, there's shame, there's guilt, right? All of this stuff come with what we've been talking about all week long, these unhealed, unprocessed wounds. Are we teaching our children to become rapport-driven adults? The psychological models of social learning indicate that children emulate behavior observed in their caregivers, leading them to seek validation externally as adults. Philosophically speaking, this raises the question about the nature of selfhood. Are they shaping their identity based on approval rather than intrinsic values? Empirical studies have demonstrated that children raised in environments valuing external validation may struggle with issues of self-worth and autonomy in adult relationships. Listen, I'm your man. I'm not your manager. I'm your man. I find that men who seek to manage their women have issues with them. Somebody hurt them, so they shift into manager mode as a means to protect themselves. Can we be honest, men? And I'm not saying women don't do it too. The whole flirt to convert, all of that. We talked about the pink widow this week. We talked about it all, right? I don't want my woman to manage me. Now, what does that mean? Because let me just say, if my woman says, hey man, I need you to get on a workout regimen. You're getting a little fluffy around the edges. Okay, cool. But it's still on me to go do that, right? I'm gonna get a gym membership and I'm gonna get in there maybe once or twice a week and I probably build up a little more. All right, that's fine. But if it turns into a thing where every morning she's knocking on the door saying, "Hey, don't forget. Hey, don't leave your bottle. Hey, don't do this." And it's too much. Right? Tonight's topic is going to be fire. When we come forward, more from the VOR. Tighten up, Chunky. Boy, y'all stupid. Tighten up, Chunky is crazy. Hey, this is the last show of the week. So can I ask y'all to just show up today? Just show up. Let's talk about what we talked about this week. Do you enjoy what we talked about? Was it groundbreaking? I thought it was. People have been leaving comments, which is weird to me. Damn near 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we'll get maybe once or two, maybe five at the most, 3 to 5 comments. And that's crazy because the topics be so lit. The comments should be flooded. And we got, and just if based on the ones that we did get, fire comments. So it's like, okay, so out of everybody listening, only 4 people it resonated with, and I don't believe that that's the case. So let me know if you guys have left comments and feel like they were erased, or because I've gotten that before too. They taking notes and stealing. That could be. That could be. That could. That could be something. YouTube will hide comments. That's what I'm saying. So, if you guys don't mind, thank you for the likes. I see them coming up. Only 8 people left. Please like. But yes, please call in. Let's make this show fly. The more callers, the more conversation, the better. Topic hijacking side of the game. Yeah, it's real. Yes. 9 intellectual. Teach, Zoe. Thank you. That is the Roman numeral 9, by the way. I just want to make sure. LOL. This week has been hilarious, though, but helpful, bro. It has been funny, but the topics have been nuts. I know I said this a couple weeks ago about one of those weeks being the best week of 2025, but I think this week might. I think this week might take the cake.
Say fact that love can only come into being when there's a total self-abandonment.
Obviously.
But how does one achieve
That's it.
self-abandonment?
The total abandonment can only happen with the understanding of oneself.
Wait, stop. I'm sorry. Got to go back to the top. Because when the jewel is so precious, the question in and of itself, so you can't love unless there's self-abandonment. So, I mean, what your mama think about him don't matter. What your brothers and them think about him don't. All the wounds and everything you've ever been through, you can't love unless you remove the filter that has created your ego, the filter of experiences. Because every time you experience something, it is filtered through everything you've ever been through. This is the concept of holographic relationships. The word holographic, hollow, whole, grapha, grandma, writing, whole writing. Your whole story is always with you. This is why a psychologist will tell you, let's talk about your upbringing. So they can ascertain what you've been through, because that's the sieve by which you live. You send everything through that sieve. Do you understand? Krishnamurti hits you with the radical concept. The radical concept. Excuse me. Wait a minute. Love? Oh, no, no. Total self abandonment. The ego is small, it's scared, it's controlling. Are you listening? Go ahead, let's hit it one more time.
You say, in fact, that love can only come into being when there's a total self-abandonment.
Obviously.
But how does one achieve
That's
self-abandonment?
the total abandonment can only happen with the understanding of oneself. Self-knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. And if wisdom and love go together, which means there is love only when I have really understood myself and therefore know in myself there is no fragmentation at all. Which means no sense of anger, ambition, greed, separative activity.
I don't know if you guys understand what he's saying, and I think you do because many people out there know about the great J. Krishnamurti. There's no fragmentation. The mask is a part of the fragment that you want to show people, right? The shadow is the part of the self that you don't even want to deal with. A clinical psychologist will tell you you're healed when you're fully integrated. The integration of the shadow with the mask. But many of you have abandoned the shadow and just spent most of your time maintaining your mask. So Krishnamurti is saying you are fragmented, which means you can't love. See, the ego is in love with fragmentation. Why? Because I'm better than they are. That's fragmentation. I'm better educated than they are. I have a better career than they are. I have a better husband or a better wife. I have a better life than they do. Fragmentation. Right? And then it becomes cognitive dissonance because you know something's wrong with you. But because socially you look better, right? You can stand on this is how I look socially. Do you see? You're choosing one aspect of the mask to deal with. Does seeking approval render us psychologically vulnerable? When the voice of reason comes forward, we're going to find out. What up, Brandon James? Y'all know what it is. We got 6 minutes. This is our 6-minute break. I'm not going to ask you to do it. I would love for you to do it on your own. But hit that like button and do whatever else you feel is necessary to continue to support this channel, whatever that may be. If people are desirous of calling in, the number to dial is 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. Please, please, please call in. Andy. Andy.
Yeah.
Was that one of ours?
No.
Hey, do we have any cold water?
Sure we go up in a little machine thing.
No, not a bottle. Oh,
I
okay.
think so.
Yeah. Yo. Hey, 37 people, 37 likes. I appreciate it.
Gentlemen, I cordially invite you out to the Comedy Connection series, where comedy meets connection. You're gonna laugh, but you're also gonna learn. The long-awaited collaboration.
Dr. Naka, you should call in.
Connection. It's your brother Zoe Williams, the voice of reason.
What up, Dr. Naka?
LA's own. I'm teaming up with my friend, the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're gonna host this comedic relationship roundtable series live at Inglewood's iconic Miracle Theater, May 31st, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Don't wait around. Get your tickets now. Join top comedians Ron G. and Kevin Tate, along with clinicians Dr. P. Pakoya McCall Robinson, along with my friend Christopher Johnson, PhD. Trust me, this is something you don't want to miss. It's unique, it's funny, and it's insightful. Think therapy meets punchlines. Tickets are selling faster than a bad first date. You better grab yours now. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy
Houston
bucket.
is in the
Now I get
building.
same
What
deep
up?
clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. I mean, mop drop.
What up, y'all? Put your city in there. What city are we in? Yo, I'm in the Crenshaw district. I'm in the Crenshaw district. Y'all know what that is? Los Angeles. La Leezy. If I go over the hill, let me see. If I go that way, I'm going to the Crypto, formerly the Staples Center. If I go this way, I'm going Inglewood. If I go that way, I'm going Hollywood. Crypto that way, downtown Los Angeles. Yo, I'm in the Kansas joint. What up? Tony Warner, what up? Hashtag Zara says, I have to disconnect from y'all energy. Goodbye. And now the end is near. I say to thee, bounce from henceforth. Be gone. I'm sorry. Having a moment. What up, Jamar? That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't feel the vibe, why do you have to say something? Just quietly leave. Yeah, I heard the rain is about to be crazy. My sister be calling me with updates. I know. Let me see if I can see cities. Ottawa is Houston. Tony is Kansas City. Let's see. Ida is San Francisco, Bay Area. Truemonger is Dallas. Dr. Naka, I done forgot where you at. Where you at, Dr. Naka? Oh, Nzinga is Pensacola. Herschel, I forgot where you at. Where you at, Herschel? Dr. Naka is Houston.
What does it mean to project, and how do you stop doing it? I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos. Today's topic is based on a viewer question, and here's the question. I know I project a lot with my spouse. I attribute this to my very low self-esteem, which he made worse by body shaming me with comments such as, she let herself go, as in, I gained weight. My question is, how do I stop projecting my insecurities when he has made direct comments about my physical appearance? Thank you for this question. First of all, what is projection? Projection is a psychological defense mechanism where you have feelings and emotions that are unacceptable to you, and instead of owning it, you attribute it to someone else. Here's an example. Let's expand on the viewer's question. I'll call her Tina, and I'm making this all up. Tina has always lived in the shadow of her sister, who was prettier, smarter, and more successful. Tina married her college sweetheart right after college and immediately became a stay-at-home wife and then a mom. Tina feels like her life is always about soccer games and homework. So this is the backdrop here. So she and her husband are watching television, and her sister is on the news because she just got promoted to CFO of a tech company. Tina's husband says, "Wow, your sister is amazing." Tina feels hurt by this statement and says, "I bet you regret marrying me. I've never been good enough for you." In fact, Tina is always accusing him of having an affair with a better woman, and each time he's like, "What?" But even though her husband does feel like she has let herself go since she had the kids, he still loves her, but he's sick of her always accusing him of wanting another woman. So what's really behind this? Tina doesn't like herself, and seeing her sister's accomplishments makes her feel even worse about herself. Now, she recognizes this. What she doesn't recognize is, on a conscious level, is that she regrets getting married and having children so young. She loves her kids, but she feels like this stay-at-home life has kept her from blossoming into becoming the best version of herself. And since her youngest child is 9, she feels trapped in a prison sentence of denying her own needs for the next 10 years. Tina projects this unacceptable thought onto her husband, saying that he's the one who regrets getting married.
Come on, Dr. Tracy. Then created a whole narrative, just projected a whole narrative out there just so you don't have to take responsibility for your weight. You know what's interesting? How many times are you in a conversation with somebody and they say, they made me feel this way? Or they made me act this way. They made me behave this way. How often do you hear that? A whole lot, I bet, right? Let me just say, we've created a whole narrative within our broken little hearts. Bless our little hearts. We'll create this whole narrative that sounds like an internal transference of power to an external source. They made me. But really, we're operating as an RPM, a relationship project manager. Because guess what? If I can pass the buck to you and you allow me to do it, then I don't get to do the work that I'm supposed to do. I get let off the hook and I get to maintain what I've already been enjoying. Do you see? So many people do this. And all I'm saying is, coming from a hurt place, I get it. I understand human beings are flawed. But as Dr. Tracy just explained with that story, giving that example, projection is part of this relationship project management. Let me go back to the initial setup of the show. When you're dealing with love, love has no expectations. Your wounds have expectations. Love does not. Why? Because love contains everything. That's what makes it unconditional. This is why the greats, whether they're shamans, gurus, or comedians, because a good brother, comedian friend of mine who passed away, considered a legend. Old brother. Huh? Who am I talking about? Huh? Shut up. Huh? Who? Huh? Who talks like that? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I ain't gonna say his name until y'all do. Huh? He's a legend and we respect him. Like I'm talking to my chat right now. They're in Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory said to me, he said, love doesn't exist where freedom, or love doesn't exist where fear exists. He said they don't exist in the same place at the same time. Well, guess what? Most of your mystics say the same thing. This is why most of us transition uh, into becoming RPMs, relationship project managers. Do you seek approval, or does seeking approval render us psychologically vulnerable? The psychological need for approval is linked to concepts of conditioned self-worth or conditional self-worth, meaning if I do something and you approve of it, then my self-worth goes up. If I do something and you don't approve of it, then my self-worth goes down. Right? So the psychological need for approval is linked to concepts of conditional self-worth, where individuals stake their identity on external validation. This resonates with existentialist views, suggesting that authenticity is sacrificed for acceptance. What if you've been lying this whole time? And you've been manipulating and lying this whole time. You don't mind selling your authenticity for a little security. A lot of people are operating in relationships in this manner. When we come forward, the voice of reason is going to the phone lines. Brother John, Mountain View. What up? Hey, Herschel dropped 27 on the super chat, or basically all of that's Herschel. 2747 on the super chat. We appreciate it. Thank you. John Gilbreth dropped some bread on the Cash App. Thank you, good brother John. Herschel back at it. Thank you, sir. Behind the scenes. Look at all of these little, I didn't know you could put that on. Wow. We had 2946. Thanks everybody for hitting that like button, for hitting that share button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Man. Brother was busy today. Shipped out all of the He Is Risen for folk looking for He Is Risen. Shipped it out. Hey, He Is Risen is a real situation. Mac, Suge, 510 took us over the $30 mark. We appreciate it. Nzinga, I want to hear your voice again today. I love Nzinga's voice. Call in, Nzinga. Herschel back at it. Man, wait till y'all see this outfit I'm gonna wear for the round table. We got a professional photographer. I mean, we got a videographer. Shit gonna be lit. Zoe gonna be ready for it.
So anxiety is super tricky. So the problem with anxiety is sometimes we've got like social anxiety, right? And we're like, okay, if I'm emotionally dependent on my friends, like I need my friends for emotional support. And like that's okay, like that's what friends are kind of there for. But then it's like if you become too dependent on them, you're going to drive them away. And then the problem is like, well, wait a second, hold on. Is that my anxiety telling me that I'm going to drive them away? So that's not like actually false and I'm not going to drive them away? But what if that is, so if it's my anxiety, I'm going to ignore it and I'm going to continue being emotionally dependent. But that could sabotage your relationship. And so then you have to like stop for a second and try to figure out, okay, wait, is that my anxiety? So like, should I become more emotionally independent or is this my anxiety or what? And even in terms of like, and so it's kind of tricky, right? Because you don't know, like, is giving into your anxiety being emotionally dependent or is giving into your anxiety not being emotionally independent? It's like, I don't know. Am I supposed to be like conquer my anxiety and be a better friend? Or am I supposed, it's just impossible to figure out. And so that's where there are like a couple things to keep in mind. The first is understand that your doubt, essentially requiring reassurance from other people, comes from a doubt in yourself. Right? So when you don't have faith in your own conclusions, your mind naturally goes to someone else. That's the only way it works. The tricky thing is if you're plagued with this cycle of doubt in yourself, chances are that cycle of doubt was instilled in you. And what we heard today was that there's essentially like a set of experiences where like our brain doesn't know what the rules are. Anytime a child grows up in a situation where the rules keep changing, they can't figure out what's right and wrong. And if you can't figure out what's right and wrong, you can't act with confidence. Because are you doing the right thing or are you doing the wrong thing? If you know you're doing the right thing, then you can act with confidence. And so we sort of carry this thing with us, and it's trying to protect us. And what it does is it keeps us from acting. It paralyzes us. Why does it paralyze us? Because if we do something, what if it's a mistake? The best thing to do is nothing. Because inaction is safety.
There he
We
is.
start to feel
Oh, he was cooking. There he is. I was like, where you going? And he pulled it right back. We are conditioned to fix, do, move, get away from. We are not conditioned to sit in it. Sit in it. One thing about us, our souls are indestructible. So regardless of what we've been through, we're still magical. Look at the descendants of slaves in America today. Still magical. Yes, we got a psycho-spiritual wound, right? If you want to talk about generational curses and all of that. Yes, there's a psycho-spiritual wound there. But we're still magical, right? And all we got to do is sit with that wound with love, with empathy, from a non-judgmental lens, and we can heal it. Let me get my caller in here. John, Mountain View, Hawaii. Here we go. Let me get out the way. John, my big mom used to call my brother, who was born a big, strong baby. She used to call him Gangbusters. Pastor John is Gangbusters of the Voice of Reason, because he always come, he be yelling and screaming. So get ready, button up your seatbelt. John, what are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Adaptation to sickness is nasty work, sir.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
But why I gotta be that deep? It's not. Let's go through the ditties as combatives would teach me. First move is I got to be able to practice what I know to practice so I can perfect it and continue on, not in sickness. And if I know that by way of my failure, sure, those of us who are running around doing what we got to do to not face ourselves will still find ourselves facing ourselves and have to sit down.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, I don't think you understand what you just did. You done sparked me, so now I got to throw it back to you. Because what you're
Come on.
saying to me, I've heard it said this way. When my son was very young and he was training, my oldest son, and he was practicing basketball, and one of his coaches said, he said, practice does not make perfect. He said, practice makes permanent. So make sure whatever skill you're executing, that you execute it perfectly, because if you do it all this time and you're repetitive in it, it's going to become perfect. So if you do the skill wrong, if you do the drill wrong, it's going to become permanent in your game. Practice makes permanent. So if that's the case, and all of us come from a broken situation, how do we recognize that we've perfected an imperfect practice? Talk to me.
Continuing to live in the state of sickness. At some point, as the universe does, it rearranges itself. It balances itself. Somehow, some way, somebody finds that note in you, and it's not the one that you need to be playing.
Ooh. The blind spot is revealed.
Let the universe do what it normally do, which is guide you to the place that you need to be. Be in the position to do something about it, because again, yeah, you can sit down, but 9 times out of 10, you would have to have a place to sit down versus I'm sitting down to hide from all of this. That's when people build up walls.
The dropout, the cop out. Got you. Yes, keep going. I'm listening, John.
I'm done with all of this madness because I got a life to live. And yet at the same time, who told me I got to buy new clothes? These clothes still fit. All I got to do is clean them, put them back on, and get back in the fight. My evolution is always evolving, but I got to adapt to what's going on. Well, let's continue.
Well, come on then. Let's pull the layers back then. You've been listening for years now. And then the question becomes, what have you been able to extrapolate from day in and day out, these types of topics, the reframing of topics, the recreation of topics, the new terms we're using for what have you extrapolated out of this voice of reason experiment?
This voice of reason experiment was just like yesterday's conversation, not as intelligent as you would like it to be, and don't want to bring out ours yet again. I still would like to go to the basics, because again, for those of us who don't use shame as a tool, I do.
You do? I do. Yes,
Some of us got to go to square one so that we can make sure we're making the right steps again, because I know where square one is, and it's not the easy.
Yes, we have to go to square one, but we don't have to speak like we're at square one, do we?
Well, that comes with the experience of going back to square one.
So we got to speak the language. We got to, when in Rome, do as the Romans.
Well, as put, all this new language, most of us can't swallow it anyway, so why are you feeding it?
Oh, you know what has to happen, though.
Yes, growth has to take place.
Yeah,
Go along with it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
come on.
Isn't that just a tool? Isn't that just a tool bag or a toolbox that you carry along with you when you go along the journey?
I'm gonna tell you how Quincy Jones told me. He said, travel all over the world. And he said, wherever you go, learn a few words of the language. Because what happens when you learn the language, you connect to the people. He said,
Bravo.
Right? And I said, okay, Q.
Bravo.
I said, okay, Q. But now the people have to do something when it comes to this spiritual revolution that has to take place. You have to understand that your language, right, does not work when you're trying to raise up to a higher level of consciousness. Why? Because language uses us. We think we're using it, but it's using us. Most of the language we're using is negative self-talk. We're limiting what we can say, what we can believe based on what we were raised in. The whole thing gets kind of, it's like a log jam, right? When we get into when we get into the higher consciousness of unconditional love, you know what's happening? Do you know what's happening? Language is leaving.
Absolutely.
Altogether, language is done. You're starting to experience something that is beyond vocalization. Stay with me, John. We're not going. You stay right there. When we come forward, me and John are going to finish cooking this one up. Hey, I love it, John. My brother John. I love it, John. Swang, can. Oh. Boom, 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 boom. What up, everybody? Where you at, Attila?
Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this gonna be crazy. How about the
There go Ghetto Gourmet. What up? Heru Ali. Ha! That's his initials. Ha! Heru Ali. Ha!
Betrayal has been committed. Hit you with the bad touch routine. How does he maintain his humposity?
Honors.
Why can't you open up, brother? I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you rate women so well?
So William.
What up, though?
Accountability. The voice of reason. So a little about codependent navigating. Codependency is an umbrella term holding several versions of a series of behaviors. At the crux of it, codependency in my mind is behaviors that shield you from being more authentic and true to yourself in a healthy way. We are not being our authentic self if we don't value ourselves as much as we value others, and it's part of navigating other people. Due to how we are raised in childhood trauma, we might be totally removed from what healthy authenticity looks like, which is perfectly okay. It's okay if you don't have a frame of reference for that. I didn't. I did a video recently on codependency, spelling it all out in various forms. You can check that out. There'll be a link in the description. The behavior I'm calling navigating is really about going around something in a detour as opposed to taking it directly on. It looks like going around something that is potentially dangerous to our inner child because they really haven't had no modeling of what being direct looks like. They probably assume that being direct is to be mean. And it can also be fear of not knowing what's going to happen after we're direct, like fear of the unknown. So we're not codependently navigating when we're not so concerned with how we're being perceived and how we are also allowing others to have their reactions. Being direct while managing our fears is the opposite of navigating. So here goes. We'll outline the types of the codependent navigating, where it comes from in our childhood, and how to work on it with our inner child
child to be relating more authentically with others. So let's dive in. The first one is what I call kill them with kindness. Remember that example about the spaghetti in the beginning of the video? That's what I mean by kill them with kindness. This kind of navigating is really about being totally accommodating and totally selfless. And it involves kind of unintentionally, we're kind of overwhelming others, overwhelming the recipient by trying to be of service to them. As childhood trauma survivors, we'll do this with anyone who is in authority, or we'll do that in friendships, or with new romantic partners especially, or people who are new to us, or even flat out strangers. And again, it's coming from a place of either worrying about the person being mad, that you're not sensitive enough. That's probably going to be familiar to your childhood for many of you.
Man, he's cooking. He's talking about how wounds will cause you to try to manage other people. The management is misplaced. Therefore, it is mismanaged. You have to manage self. Self-regulation, where you have to regulate your own emotions. You have to be aware that the emotions are out of sync, and you have to learn to regulate those emotions. You have to regulate your responses or reactions. Do you see? The unhealed becomes an RPM, a relationship project manager, seeking to manage, control, and unfortunately, in many cases, manipulate their partners in order to stay safe. The guy was just outlining what people with anxious, preoccupied attachment styles do. Let me show up and show you that, I got your back. Because I don't want you to feel like I'm not sensitive to your situation, and that would ultimately make you leave me. Do you see? Do you see the inauthenticity in the act when it's ultimately designed to keep you from leaving? Relationship project managers. Do you understand? Relationship as a means to an end, mistaking toxic reassurance for genuine interest, not knowing when enough is enough, enthralled with toxic attentiveness. What is toxic attentive? Toxic reassurance acts as both a avoidant / narcissistic spiritual binding agent and a self-fulfilling prophecy. For those struggling with self-love deficiency, Ross Rosenberg calls it SLDD, self-love deficient disorder, which he classifies self-love deficiency, i.e. codependency, as a type of addiction. It may manifest as an addiction to praise and flattery, combined with the existential dread of a resentful spirit. Misunderstandings with toxic reassurance comes as a pernicious side effect of narcissistic abuse and family scapegoating. That resentment is a seed that sprouts from self-abandonment, resulting in the following. Anxiety surrounding control developed to the point of vulnerability to micromanagement. Let me say it again. Anxiety surrounding control developed to the point of vulnerability to micromanagement. Working on the relationship becomes a substitute for inner work and provides a hopeful statement or a hopeful testament, to the spiritually naive. Now, let me go back. Working on the relationship. What did I just say? It's mismanaged when you're seeking to manage another. The only relational project manager there should be is the intrapersonal one. We're focused on the interpersonal one. If they act in accordance to what my wounds require, then we're good. See, working on the relationship becomes a substitute for inner work. Inner work is the only work a relationship needs. How many of you think, man, if my partner could just get it right, if they would just change, if they would just grow up a little bit, if they would just mature, if they would just adjust, shift, adapt, everything is on them. When you're having a conversation with them, they can go from A to Z with what's wrong with you. But the moment you ask, I do it all the time. It's a game to me now. I meet people, I go, hey, can you name 3 things about yourself that makes you undateable and unrelatable? Wait, huh? Wait. I could talk about my ex. No, I'm saying, can you name 3 things about yourself that makes you unrelatable and thus undateable? Huh? They ain't spent no time looking at themselves because they think the management belongs on the person, not themselves. Relationship management is not synonymous with secure partnerships that foster growth and connection. It dictates that partners seek to consume, condition, and control others rather than relating, reflecting in love. This creates a perpetual placeholder relationship dynamic. The good old faithful archetype that many that may possess longevity but lacks adaptability and transformation, and the transformation needed to ascend to a higher level of consciousness and thus a higher level of relating. Very interesting. Many of us have become relational project managers because it's easy to manage external situations, people, places, and things, than it is to manage the internal situation, which is that relationship, that poor relationship you have with yourself. Knowledge of self, as the great Krishna Ji would say. John from Mountain View, get back in here, man. We were talking.
Yes, sir.
And we were talking about the languaging, and I was talking about the limitations of language. And you were basically saying, you know, enough of that. Sometimes you got to go back to square one. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you got to bring a giant spiritual bell wherever there is low consciousness and ring that damn thing. Because one thing you can't do after the bell is rung, you can't unring it. And sometimes people got to hear it in ways they never heard it before. That's how we expand. That's how we grow. Maybe you can push back on me with this a little bit, because what I find is a lot of people will avoid, oh, that's too deep. Oh, those words, the words are too high. They did it to Obama. Oh, he speaks too eloquently. Oh my God. What happens is that's a justification for not listening to the truth. In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, people want to avoid it. Like, say it the way I say it. Speak it in my language. Sometimes you got to speak it the way it just comes out. And it comes out and it rings a bell. And you'll find amongst the people that you thought all spoke the same language, some of them speak the language you speak in. And those are the people that message was destined for. Do you understand what I'm saying? Go ahead. Yeah.
Absolutely, but again, your pushback. Not everything on a higher level is better.
Ooh, I like this. Go deeper. Say more. Expand on that thought.
I expand because your statements that you made earlier sound like the application of, we're both driving on the highway. You're facing me, I'm facing you. Mm-hmm. You have your bright lights on, I have my bright lights off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I'm trying to control the outside of you, I'm going to flash my lights until I get to you.
To let me know my lights are on or off.
You are blinding me as I'm coming towards you.
My lights are on, your lights are off. But you flashing me to let me know, hey man, your high beams are on. I'm with you.
But in the same instance, for those of us who grow on the internal, because again, you're not going to see the middle finger that I give you while I'm doing all this stuff. You're not going to see me cussing and flying the hell and all this other stuff that's externally influencing me.
Right.
You're not going to see none of that.
I love it.
I'm acting a plumb fool with these headlights on.
Right.
You, and the internal thing would tell me, he will pass me in 5 seconds.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I don't want to degrade the higher purpose, the higher words, or the higher echelon. I know I'm not at that level.
Yeah,
but
listen.
I know I can interpret that.
Yeah, but then I don't think you understand. If you can interpret the level you're not on, then how are you not on the level you are able to interpret?
This is where we understand growth, boss.
Listen, you on the level. I'm not going to allow you to do that. You will not besmirch your own name, sir. I'm not going to.
Sir, some of us are okay with that.
No.
Some of us search for greatness.
Yeah, but
and some of us. Go ahead.
No, because you're saying something so powerful. I gotta say this. Did you know spirituality is boring? To the average. No, to the average person, right? And when we talk about higher consciousness, let's just get into that, right? Because you said higher consciousness might not be better or might not be as good as, say, lower consciousness. Well, in the lower consciousness fields, that's where we have desire. That's where we have, what's the other, the stimulation. We have all of these feelings, and oftentimes they're not controlled. They don't have, they're sporadic. They're all over the place, right? So there's disorganization in that feeling. Spirituality, on the other hand, reaches, and this is coming from years and years and years of research and study and practice. When you get to a certain level consciously, everything just slows down. There's no need to do anything because you enter the space of being. Does that make sense? Isness. There's a sense of I don't need to go somewhere in order, most of us have to go do something in order to connect spiritually. We have to be a part of something, an event. Something has to happen for us to go, wow, look at that. Look at this moment. Wow. Whereas the spiritual person is in that moment, and whatever it took for them to get there, when they come back to the moments that we all share here together with one another, you know what they say? Well, it's time for me to get back into meditation because this is boring here. Whereas the person who hasn't reached that level of consciousness will say, you're just sitting there. How is what you're doing better? Man, I just saw Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was at the Hollywood Bowl. I was picnicking with my lady. We was at the beach. They didn't have to do any of that because they've reached a level of consciousness that brings them into what they call oneness with the source of all that is. Now, you help me understand this, Pastor John. I need you. Let me. I'm about to ask you this question, and then you got the floor. If these folk can reach a certain level of consciousness that brings them into the presence of God, I just watched the 10 Commandments. I just watched it today. If you can come into the presence of God, how would it feel once you got to come back here? Talk to me.
Well, the presence of the Almighty, the presence of the All-Powerful, the presence of God will make you, again, sit down.
Sit down. I love it.
And there is no other understanding of that because in the presence of the Almighty is all things. The love you're looking for is there.
Keep going. Yeah.
Is there. The peace that you're looking for is there. So why would you want to come back?
Come on, keep going.
The presence that we call ourselves, and I'm only going to say this because I don't want to become you. I feel like my Oz is coming on. Because
why me? Why me? Screw it then.
I told you already. I don't want to put these clothes on no more.
Right. I hear you, brother.
I don't want this life. But again, for me to be here and to bless others, and if that's all that it takes, then I'm going back to basics.
I'm going back to the basics.
I know you love me there.
Man, I love you, period, brother. You've been here the whole time. That's why I feel like this is a game shifter in terms of talk radio. No one has ever pulled quantum mechanics philosophy, psychology, spirituality, shamanism. No one's ever pulled it all together into a coherent synthesis of concepts. We do that here. And it is necessary that we continue to put our foot on everybody's neck. Why? Because guess what? If I don't, I got a grandbaby waiting for me, at my daughter's house right now. My granddaughter is over there waiting. What kind of world is she going to grow up in if we don't do this work? I'm already seeing what's happening to Generation Z and the millennials. What's going to happen if her grandfather's voice is extinguished? Stay with me. When we come forward, me and John go cook one more again. Hey, I love John. Hey, John, yeah. Hey, John, hey. Where you at, John? I love John tonight. John is on one. I love it. Come on, John. Keep cooking. My little boo bear. I gotta go see her. I'm gonna make a beeline straight to her, like bow. What up, Big E? Yeah,
So you still got the block thing for the charger?
I do.
You still using it?
Nope, it's charged. I should make it through to the end of the show.
Okay. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no, appreciate you. John is cooking, man. Doc Spencer, what up? Nah, man, this was a good conversation. Man. What up, everybody? So, who remembers in 2021 when I dropped the Shrouded Lighthouse? Hey, thank you, Eddie, for putting that link up there, man. I mean, Big Chris, thank you. Who remembers when I dropped the Shrouded Lighthouse? So before the Shrouded Lighthouse came out, what was the first thing that I dropped that let y'all know that y'all could go get the book? Y'all could get your pre-order. What was the first thing that I dropped? And I dropped it on social media. Yo, John be cooking every time. I love John. Do y'all remember? The book cover.
when you communicate with others, let's say about political situation or whatever it may be, we communicate verbally or in writing, or just have a monologue in your head. People have monologues in their head. This is normal. The important thing to avoid so that ego doesn't come in is again to make other human beings wrong. To make wrong who they are. I'm not talking about what they do, but to make wrong who they are. There is a difference. You can criticize what a person says or does, but if you then use whatever this person says or does and say that is his or her identity, then you've created an enemy in your mind, and that is a dangerous thing to do because it strengthens the unconsciousness in the collective energy field and produces a corresponding reactive effect in the other, and then there's a mutual strengthening of that, and that leads to huge conflict, and you get more and more trapped in your ego and in being right. So if you can take action and communicate and take action without having your sense of self invested in it, so that you point out your perspective, you explain it, you substantiate it, you illustrate it. This is how I see it, this is how the situation is, this is what we need to do or be careful of. All this is fine. You can attack another person's point of view or perspective without attacking who that person is. You can attack because that is and you don't.
That's the great Eckhart Tolle. Warning against ad hominem attacks. Don't attack the person, attack the perspective, the point. Oftentimes that gets lost in the sauce in those intimate relationships where conflict arises. Let me get my brother back in here. Pastor John, Mountain View, Hawaii. Please, brother, give me your final thoughts and your summation of this topic tonight.
Well, let's answer the question that I was left on hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Unfortunately, this is a cold piece of work, but at the same time, it is God's promise to all of us. And even sometimes he has to take the one who protects, manages, rules, guides, and even takes care of the little ones that we are supposed to be here for. Because again, who's got the charge? Yes, it's your responsibility for the time that you have. But unfortunately, that too you must release.
Oof.
Ready? I look at my own daughters and see the same thing. One who is currently going through a divorce, the other one who is just starting her relationship with a new person.
Wow. One is at the end of a journey, one is at the beginning of another journey, and these journeys will continue, right?
As I've been told, you hold on loosely.
Hold on loosely. That's a bar. Hey, John, guess what you just did, man?
Mountain View's in the house. Blessings to all. God bless you too, sir.
Thank you, brother. Love you too, man. Hey, I love it. You want to call in, talk to your brother Zoe Williams? Let's get it done. The number to dial, 1-800-920-1580. When we come forward, we're going to Pensacola, Florida. Be there for you. Oh. Hold on loosely is crazy. Yo, this week, man, this week. Schwenking. Topics have been crazy. Herschel still in here, wilding. We got $42.95. I appreciate everybody for the likes, the shares, the comments. Let's comment more. Let's like more. Let's share more. I appreciate it. Shrinking. Well, 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 like a moth to a flame. What? What do you guys think about my playlist tonight? If you haven't found the one you'd rather spend eternity in hell with rather than one moment in heaven with, you're assed out. I'm just saying. Word up. Word up. It is. We got some Bob James. We got some Hiroshima. Who falling asleep? Me? No. Oh, I'm wide awake. Me? No, I'm wide awake. Thank you, Tanya. Yes, sir. Thank you, Herschel. Herschel, man. Damn. Here we go. Here we go. Going through the same thing. Damn it, Herschel. Damn. He took us to $93.94. We only $7 away from the goal we used to hit. We used to hit a goal, man. We used to hit a goal. But thank you, man. Damn. Damn, brother. Damn. Ghetto Gourmet, appreciate you, brother. Herschel, appreciate you, sir. Here we go, coming back live.
You're listening to the voice of reason with Phil Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We like to talk about law of attraction because it is the vibrational engine that manages everything. And we can't talk about law of attraction without talking about momentum, because there is a momentum in thought. And if you think a thought long enough, it becomes a strong habit of thought. It's what you call beliefs. Belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So sometimes you have beliefs that do not serve you. But when you first awaken, those beliefs are quiet enough that you can find a fresh one that comes from source, that is about who you really are and what you really know.
Come on. That's Esther Abraham Hicks. She be cooking. I ain't gonna lie. You know, sometimes I'm like, you know, sometimes. But she cooked on that one. You know, becoming a vibrational match. Thought, word, and deed. Many of us are a walking, living, breathing cognitive dissonance, right? We think one thing, do another thing, you know, believe another way, you know. Thought, word, and deed. What we say, what we do, and what we think. It's very interesting, man. And what I do know is if we don't get to the core, right, of what makes us tick, or what's preventing us from ticking from within, there's a propensity to be able to grow into this, you know, hypothetical relationship project manager, where now I've got to micromanage my woman, or she's trying to micromanage him, right? Her man, or whatever the relationship dynamic might be, the micromanaging of it all. And that was the point of tonight's topic. The relationship project manager. Are you being toxically reassured? A deeper look at how toxic family structures destroy or distort your need for validation. Are they really into you, or are you just being managed, right? And that's going to happen. We've got callers on the line. I want to get them in here. Nzinga from Pensacola, Florida is in the building. Nzinga, what are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Hey, good evening, everybody. I think that the constant reassurance can be toxic, but there are healthy sides to reassurance in a relationship. But it normally is mutual, it's not one-sided. And I think that's where the toxicity can come in. And it can become burdensome to a partner if they need to consistently reassure you. It's almost like I don't know I didn't Google the name, but it's like those people that, have a phobia of going outside.
Mm-hmm.
And the remedy is, me reassuring you, then they can come out the closet or, come outside. But it's not sustainable, especially when it's, coming from an external place. And it has to come from within, because I think the healthy reassurance in a relationship often, from my experience, based on experience, is like an action. It's not necessarily them always consistently having to verbally reassure me.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Using your behavior as a means to reassure versus just always speaking it. No, I get it. I understand. Go ahead.
Like, I forgot to wash the dishes and, well, I didn't forget. I just didn't feel like it. But, you get up in the morning and it's taken care of. It's like, oh, I'm going to give you a hug later. Thank you. Little things like that.
Right.
But I think on the other side of that consistent reassurance is somebody can withhold it, and it can be used as like a toxic reward system.
Back to that intermittent reinforcement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, so you have to be careful, especially because, like you always say, in the beginning of a relationship, people wear masks, so sometimes you don't really know whose hands you're in. And so if you're looking for something externally, somebody can, people can sense that. They can see it in you.
Oh, wait. That was big. Wait, let's go back to that. Sometimes you don't know whose hands you're in. That's what you said, right? Okay, but if you are in your own hands, would it matter? I'm saying, would it then matter who else's hands you're in if you're in your own hands?
But in this instance, when somebody's seeking something externally,
yes,
then they're not in their own hands.
Right.
And so you can,
ooh, this
if you're
heavy.
not in your own hands, you can, it's like that game you used to play in school with that big, like, blanket and the ball, and or like when you're little, somebody's in the middle of it, and they're just, all the students are around, and they're throwing the blanket up and down, and the person's bouncing. You don't know where you're going to land.
You don't.
If you don't have if you're not grounded,
right,
in yourself.
But would you say that a person who is doing all of these performative tasks, right, performative reassurance, trying to gain something from someone who are, and using your terms, not in their own hands, and thus putting in a position to not know whose hands they're actually in, would you say that that whole experience would lead them to that revelation, which is what John was saying?
It can.
Talk to me.
It can. Because, not everybody has a light bulb moment. if you have the light bulb moment, and you have that when you're at that crossroad, or you're dealing with somebody, and I guess you have the straw that broke the camel's back, or just that that happens, and it's like, oh, I'm looking to you for it, but it's always been in me.
It's always, yes.
Some people don't have that moment, and so they're on this hamster wheel of, do you love me? Do you accept me?
Right.
Am I pretty? Am I beautiful? It's just like this hamster wheel.
Especially the anxiously attached folk are like that. For sure. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you love me? Let me know. Tell me all day. Tell me every day. Tell me in the morning. Tell me at lunch. Tell me at night. Tell me in my dreams. Like the anxious folks are like that for sure. Yeah, yeah.
But it's never enough, and I think you run the risk of, you can lose a partner. You can lose. You can lose. People can view you differently. So I think it's just best to, like Allstate, just be in your own hands.
Be like Allstate, be in your own, girl. I love you, Nzinga. I really do. I appreciate that bar. Guess what you just did?
Brought Pensacola in the building. Have a good night.
Pensacola, Florida is in the building. Hey, Nzinga said like Allstate, be in your own hands. And I think that kills the Disney, metaphor, because Disney said somebody was going to be Prince Charming or Princess Charming. Disney said that. But yeah, I think the intrapersonal relationship is definitely, I won't say more important, but I do know that intrapersonal relationship you have with yourself definitely projects outward and calls in a mirror image of it. And I think that's tough. If you haven't done any work, my goodness, you're going to call in an incomplete lesson and it's going to be a struggle. Great call in, Zinga. All right, look, when we come forward, we going to Vallejo. Come on, yay area in the house. Hey, Herschel, thank you. Tanya, thank you. Of course, Pastor John, thank you. I'm trying to just remember everybody. 40 Water. Tell the people that 40 Water is back. Yay, area. But everybody who hit the super chat, who hit my Cash App, thank you. Let me see if anybody else did. I want to thank everybody. Yeah. So, yeah, just thank you to everybody. We appreciate it. So did you watch the Ryan Coogler video? Why when he was talking, I was like, yee yee. I didn't recognize myself. Yee yee. Yay area. Yee. Talk to a pimp. Ooh. I'm finna ask Andy to put that on. When we bring in Tanya, we putting on. Hey, Andy.
Yeah.
Can we put on that E40 when we bring on Tanya?
What E40 you want?
Yay area. Tell the people that 40 Water is back. Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean?
But you want that, you don't want that coming in right now. You want a playlist to rock.
Yeah, I want the playlist to rock. But when we bring her on, we give her her theme music. Nah, E40 fire. What up, Diamond Blue? Yeah.
This because it is very important that we keep this in mind. What is the basic principle of meditation? You have read in your biography of a yogi, Guruji gives the definition of yoga according to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Yoga is the neutralization or the stilling of the waves of consciousness. As Dayamachi referred to when she was here a couple of days ago, be still and know that I am God. Quoting from the Bible. It is in that absolute stillness that we perceive or we realize what we really are. And then it says in the Yoga Sutras, then the devotee rests in his own pristine nature, soul, or God within. Now,
Man, come on. Paramahansa Yogananda? The autobiography of a yogi. Talking about stillness. When we're unhealed, there's a restlessness, an inner restlessness. And we're always seeking an answer, a fix, a conclusion, a solution. And it's not always readily available. Externally speaking, of course. But only when we go inside and try to find this stillness that the great Paramahansa Yogananda spoke of. Let me get my caller in here. Tanya from Vallejo. Come on. What? Come. Hey.
Like 60s funky words with waves and curves, just sitting chunky rhythms right down your block. We beat to rap, what key beat to lock.
Come on, Tanya. Turn up. Get high feet.
We beat to rap, what key beat to lock. We beat to rap, what key beat to lock. We beat to rap, key beat to lock.
Hey. What up? Hey, Vallejo is in the house right now. We had to play your theme music for the city. Ooh, yeah.
Thank you for being a fan of the Bay Area.
Come
I
on.
I love it.
We love the Bay. Come on. Yeet. Talk to us. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
So, one of the things that I wonder, when we talk about, codependency, or people that are codependent, how much do people vet? Are people out here vetting people like you're supposed to, whether it's personal or spiritual. Like, are we vetting people? Like, the people that I have vetted, I've known them from school. And I don't think I needed any more new friends after those, because I vetted them. I know how they work. I know how they operate. And then when I get to relationships, I have noticed that most of the people that I have met, I'll just say outside of my circle that I've vetted, are men. I've met more codependent men than I have met women. I'm just saying that's just in my circle.
And nobody can finna argue with you right now. I'm letting you cook with the greatest grease.
Like,
yes.
I give you clarity. I'm upfront. You know what you're dealing with. It's nothing fake. And I think there is a tribute to being raised in an alpha male environment. But I noticed the men that I have met and I have a child by 2 men, very codependent. They depend on women. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean in a way that it's extreme. Like, they depend on the women for the reverse, the protection, the provider.
Wow.
The nurturer, the protector. When we get to that protection moment, it's like, okay, well, now something ain't right.
Something is wrong. Something is off. Right.
Something is wrong.
But I
never let it go past, like, even though I've had, okay, you know what? After I see what's happening, I'm gone.
So let me separate a couple of things. Hold on 1 second. I got to separate a couple of things. Codependency is not usury. Sounds like you're describing users. Codependency is when it's almost like somebody is chasing validation and meaning from someone, right? Codependency, to be in this toxic relationship. And I want to give you the clinical definition of it as well. Okay. But it's definitely not what you're describing. It sounds like you're describing the hobosexual. Somebody who just has no drive. The woman is taking care of him financially, everything, right?
I'm not describing that. That's after, because I totally wouldn't end up with that type of individual.
So here's the codependency, because I want you to understand that it's slightly different. Codependency is a relationship pattern in which one person assumes responsibility for meeting another person's needs to the exclusion of acknowledging their own needs or feeling. So that's important. So that's the clinical definition, right?
Okay.
You are so focused, or they are so focused on everybody else's needs, that it gets to the point where they exclude acknowledging their own needs. Now, does that definition fit what you were trying to say about you meet more codependent men?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Tanya, I wish you would have called in earlier. We at the end of the... Tanya, I've been trying to get you in here.
I know.
Tanya, okay, listen. Next week is...
You've given me some gumbo right now.
Okay. Okay. But next week is a new week. Am I going to hear from you?
Something. That what you just gave to me?
Yes.
I need that seasoning.
Okay, but am I going to hear from you next week? Because I got to hear from you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, you will. All
right, we love you. Listen, we started the conversation. It's up to you to finish it. We don't know anything about anything, but we know how to get a conversation started. Hey, this is my Friday. I'll see you next week with a whole new slew of slappers. Deuces! Bam. Great week. Great week. All right, y'all. Hey, up out of here with the quickness. Come on, man. You too, brother. I'm bad checks about this mug. Put my hoodie on. Go see my little baby boo. All right, y'all. Good night.